Guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today we will be talking about data values. First off, let's start off with strings. Strings are like text. For example, if I did s equals, you have to put quotation marks or else it won't be a string. So quotation marks inside of it, put whatever you want. I'm just gonna put hello world. And if I printed s, that would print hello world. Now you could also do print type and then put another pair of parentheses and then yeah. That would print what kind of data value S is. And str stands for string. Now strings can also be in single quotes instead of double quotes. And nothing would change. If I printed this, if I printed it, nothing would change. It's the exact same as before. Now you could also slice strings, and that means cutting them. You could, if I did 0:5, it would print hello. That's because 0 would mean 0 is technically the first character in Python. So this would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'd print these characters. And now you could also do negative index. This is called indexing. You could also do negative indexing by doing -1:1. Also, if you put two colons, that would, if you started at 0, that would skip every two, it would take 2 steps. So that's what says HLO space OL and only 2 exclamation marks instead of 3. It would print H, skip the E, it would print the L, it would skip the other L, it would print O, HLO, it would skip the comma. Spaces don't really count as characters, so that would skip that. I mean, space technically count as characters, so it wouldn't skip that. So the colon would disappear, the space would be here, the W would disappear, the O would be here, ah, the O would be here, the R would get skipped, the L would be here, the D would get skipped, this exclamation mark would be here, this exclamation mark would be skipped, and the last exclamation mark would be there, which would print 2 exclamation marks. Now you could also print it at every 5 steps, which would print only H and L. And it's probably the last L because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it would print the next, and it also print the next character after that. And then it would skip the space, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, and then there would be a 5 here, L. So it would print H, comma L. And you could mess around with this. You could also do -1::3. Now I print an exclamation mark. This is called string slicing. You could also do, if you made this a list, to do that, you just delete the quotations, put it in square brackets. Then it would be called a list. I'm gonna make these separate words for, yeah. And then now I put that there, and then I can delete that one. And then I can delete that, and yeah. And then you're putting 2 values in the list. You could also put numbers like 45. And if I printed S normally, I would print hello 43 and world. You could also do s.append and put cool, whatever you want, whatever you would prefer. I'm just gonna stick with cool for now. Then if I printed it first, there was no cool in it, but if I printed s again, cool is gonna be added at the end. You could also do print s dot up. You could also do print s dot upper. If I made this a string again, you could also do print s dot upper. Oh, I forgot to put the printed at the end. You have to put empty parentheses at the end of upper. Now I'd print hello world and all upper. You could also do this with lowercase. If I deleted upper and made it lower, now I'd print it in all uppercase and all lowercase. Now you might think, maybe that doesn't work because the lowercase, everything's already lowercase. I'll just make the E uppercase and I'll make the W uppercase. And then everything capital, everything lowercase. Next comes integers. Integers are technically like variables that are set to numbers, like I equals 45. And if I printed I, that would print 45. And if I did print type of I, it would be an int. An int stands for integer. However, if I did 45.00, it would still be the same number, but the type would change to a float. Floats are technically numbers with decimal values. Even though if there are no decimal values, if there's still a dot 00 at the end, it would still convert that into a float. Speaking of converting, you could also convert data types to one another. You could print I as in int by doing int and surrounding I in parentheses. And then if I printed the type of I, I could make this a variable. Then you could easily access it. So you could just do v equals something. And if I printed type of v, and as you probably saw, it says 45 normal and it says class none type. That's because it's a converted value and it doesn't really have that much of a specific class. Now, if I actually give this a real decimal type, if I made it, for example, if I made it 45.45, and if I printed it as an int, it would just make it 45. So what it does, it technically goes all the way up to the decimal point and deletes everything behind it. Even if I did 45.99999, you could just round it to 46, but it still goes all the way from the end of the decimal point all the way to in front of it and deletes everything in front of it and prints that number. I hope you enjoyed this video about all sorts of data types. There are way more, and we'll probably use all of these in other videos. Thanks for watching, and make sure you click that like button. And if you haven't, click that big juicy subscribe button.